David R. here. Today I'm going to talk to you about this book, Sugar Surfing, How to Manage Type 1 Diabetes in a Modern World, by Stephen W. Ponder and Kevin L. McMAHON. Now, this is probably the most important book you will ever read if you're a type 1 diabetic. And I think the second most important book is this one, Dr. Bernstein's Diabetes Solution. This is a big one. I read this thing a long time ago. But Sugar Surfing is number one, and I will explain why I say that throughout the course of this video. Now, before I get started, I would like to talk about the authors just a little bit. For instance, Dr. Stephen W. Ponder is an endocrinologist and clinical professor. He's been a diabetic since 1966. Kevin L. McMahon began his work in diabetes when his daughter was diagnosed with type 1 in 2001. I'm going to be off camera a lot in this video because I don't want to distract from the information that is in this book or the information that I'm going to give you that comes from this continuous glucose monitor. I don't want to be in the way. What is sugar surfing about? Sugar surfing is really about your continuous glucose monitor and how to use it. Now I want you to look at page 25. There's a graph here. Current blood sugar is 123 milligrams per deciliter. 6 units of glulicin, or apidra, was taken at 4 a.m. And between 1.5 to 2 hours, his blood sugar dropped by 137 milligrams per deciliter. And you can see his blood sugar levels were nearly stable from 6 a.m. to 7:53 a.m. And this is why diabetes resembles a surfer riding the crests and troughs of a wave. The authors say that sugar surfing is a skill. It's like a diabetes art. But it's never going to be perfect. For whatever reason, it could be stress, which they refer to as a hollow high because you didn't eat something and you still got high. It could be food. It could be a variety of things that will make your blood sugar do something that you don't expect it to do. That's why you're a sugar surfer. You're just riding those waves. You just never know. You're a diabetic. It comes with the territory. Blood sugars are just going to be everywhere. And sometimes they're going to be stable. And you're going to think, wow, this is great. I just keep doing what I'm doing. But then maybe a week later, you continue doing what you're doing, and then the blood sugars go high or too low or whatever. It's just how it works. Now, from this point on in the video, I'm going to talk about the 14-day Freestyle Libre. And I'm actually going to read from this thing here. But before I get started, I want to mention that I'm no medical professional. I'm not a doctor, obviously. I'm not a nurse. I'm none of those things. So whatever you do, if you have a question, go to your doctor. Have them apply this thing to your arm if you don't know how or you're concerned about whatever. You want to do it right. And I'm just some guy off the internet who's just talking about a book because I have an interest in books. I love books. And I love this one. Really, I do. This is number one on my list. And like I said earlier, this is number 2. But anyway, enough of that. I love books. But go to your doctor and get proper medical advice. So now I just want to go into this here, what I already started. I found this to be interesting. I have the English version and I have the Spanish version. But You're going to get the English version. Okay, so let's start. On the setup overview, it says that you want to refer to your user's manual for full system instructions and information. See your reader, see your touch screen, your home button, USB port. So you see your sensor pack and you see your sensor applicator. Now I'm going to come on camera for a moment and show you that it comes in this box here. This is your pack, your sensor pack. And this is your sensor applicator. You see that? And you also have an alcohol pad in here. All right, so let's get back to this. Assemble and apply sensor to the back of your upper arm and start the new sensor with the reader. You have to wait 60 minutes for it to start up. Then you check your glucose whenever you want for up to 14 days. Select the site on the back of the upper arm. Do not use other sites, as these are not approved and may result in inaccurate glucose readings. Like, you don't want to apply it to your leg. You want to look at that picture, and that's where you apply the sensor pack. Note, avoid scars, moles, stretch marks, lumps, and insulin injection sites. To prevent skin irritation, rotate sites between applications. I highly advise you to switch arms every couple weeks. Step 2, clean the site with the alcohol wipe and allow the site to dry before proceeding. Step 3, peel the lid completely off the sensor pack and unscrew the cap from the sensor applicator. All right, so this again. So you want to peel this off. See this? There. And then you'll open this. I don't want to do it, but open that, and then you'll apply your sensor to it. And you'll see it in the pictures. Caution, sensor codes must match on the sensor pack, and sensor applicator or glucose readings will be incorrect. As you can see there where it says code XXX. Step 4, line up the dark mark on the sensor applicator with the dark mark on the sensor pack. On a hard surface, press down firmly on sensor applicator until it comes to a stop. Step 5, lift sensor applicator out of sensor pack. Step 6, sensor applicator is ready to apply sensor. As you can see there, the sensor is within that little red circle. Sensor applicator now contains a needle. Do not touch inside sensor applicator or put it back in the sensor pack. Yeah, once it's out, it's out. So you either apply it or you don't. Step 7, place sensor applicator over site and push down firmly to apply sensor. Caution, do not push down on sensor applicator until placed over the prepared site to prevent unintended results or injury. Step 8, gently pull sensor applicator away from your body. As you can see, once he pulls away, the sensor is stuck to his arm. And step 9, make sure the sensor is secure. Discard used sensor applicator and sensor pack according to local regulations. Now we're on to start new sensor with reader. Step 1, press home button to turn on the reader. Now, if using the reader for the first time, follow the prompts to set the date, time, and target glucose range. That's very easy stuff. Step 2, start new sensor. Step 3, hold reader within 1.5 inches or 4 centimeters of sensor to scan it. And then sensor can be used to check your glucose after 60 minutes. So you have to wait a little while, but that's okay. 3, check your glucose. Step 1, press home button to turn on reader. Step 2, hold reader within 1.5 inches or 4 centimeters of sensor to scan it. And then step 3, reader shows your glucose readings. You can see this person is a little bit high. Now, understanding your glucose readings, this is fairly easy, but Sugar Surfing obviously talks about that. So the glucose graph is the graph of your current and stored glucose readings. See that little graph there? And see the waves of the line. That's where you'll be surfing. And then this other chart here with the 82 glucose reading. Check blood glucose. When you see this symbol, that little symbol right there with the red drop, it says do a blood glucose test before making treatment decisions. Then there's a message like glucose going down, and then add notes. You can add notes there. And then your current glucose reading, which is 82. And it seems to be headed downward. And then you have a glucose trend arrow. When the arrow is facing up, your glucose is rising quickly. When it's off to the right, it's rising. When it's off to the right completely, you are changing slowly. And then downward, glucose falling, and then all the way downward, glucose falling quickly. And then there's a warning. When you see the little blood drop and the magnifying glass symbol, you must check your blood glucose with a blood glucose meter before making any treatment decisions. Sensor readings may not accurately reflect blood glucose levels. Then you want to review your history. You just press home button to turn the reader on. Press home button again to go to the home screen. In step 2, touch to review history. Step 3, just select an option. So I hope that helped. I hope I didn't bore you with all those details. But now I want to go back to the Sugar Surfing book. And I want to talk about a day in the life of a sugar surfer. And here we go. First, you wake up and look back. Stephen aims for 100 milligrams per deciliter when he wakes up. At 9 p.m. the prior evening, he took 18 units of Lantus. To me, that seems like a lot, but I don't know, maybe it's not. I mean, my brother takes like 20. Second, he chose a small micro bolus nudge of 1 unit of Novolog at 5:07 a.m. Third, Stephen eats a similar meal most workday mornings as a matter of habit. I think everybody does that. He learned his glycemic profile and knows how to time his insulin in advance. So at 6:29 a.m., he injected 3 units of Novolog and waited for the bend. Once the trend dots began to shift downwards, he ate his already prepared breakfast. So he kind of waited for his blood sugar to head downward, and then he ate. Fourth, after arriving at work, his blood glucose trend went up between 7 and 8 a.m. See the red arrow? His blood sugar was 126 milligrams per deciliter, so he took 2 rapid units of insulin. The upward trend was most likely a hollow high or stress-related. At 9:19 a.m., he chose to microcarb 4 grams of glucose, or 1 tablet, to slow down the drop and level out his blood glucose dot line because he started noticing his blood glucose dip. He figures that he overtreated at 8 a.m. with the 2 bolus units. In total, as you can see, he took 12 grams of extra carbs over the next couple of hours to offset the downward blood glucose drifts. So yeah, you don't want to crash. Fifth, by lunch, there was a downward blood glucose drift again, so he injected 1 unit less insulin than his usual lunchtime dose. He took 2 units at 12:19 p.m., and ate 28 grams of carbs at 12:25 p.m. As you can see, he's sugar surfing. Sixth, As the afternoon progressed, there were some subtle downward drifts, so he had some glucose tablets to raise his blood sugar just a little. 7th, that evening, he and his family went to a local Japanese restaurant. Before dinner, he took 1.5 units of Novolog at 7:51 p.m. 15 minutes later, he took 6 units of insulin aspart. So he took a preemptive dose to offset the rise that began around 9 p.m. His blood sugar began to stabilize by 10:22 p.m. This is a day in the life of a sugar surfer. In conclusion, if you're a type 1 diabetic and you want to improve your blood sugars, this book will help, and so will the continuous glucose monitor. And if you get the continuous glucose monitor, reading this book will open your eyes to something you've never knew existed. Sugar surfing. I think it's a great concept. And it's true. People sugar surf. You know, people who have type 1 diabetes, they have to. You know, blood sugars go up and down all the time. Anyway, that's all I got. Talk to you later. Bye.